David Hartman, welcome to our Dave's Disney Diehards show. Yes, today we're going to do a Disneyland Paris review. Wishing you a wonderful Saturday afternoon. Thanks for joining us today for our show about everything Disney. As always, like this where you're watching it, leave a comment or a question about our show, and share our group with other great Disney diehard fans. This show is just for you, our diehards community. We have a special guest today, John Medrow, a Disney destination expert for my travel agency. Just signed up recently after a cruise we attended together in June. And now he is full-time part of our agency, selling all destinations worldwide, including Disney. And John recently took his wife to Paris and went to Disneyland Paris and is going to join us today exclusively to talk about his review of Disneyland. We're going to talk about the myths. There's a lot of myths when you go to Disneyland Paris. I heard they throw eggs at you, John. He's going to compare the parks, how this park compares to other Disney parks in the U.S. that you are used to, like Disney World. And then he's going to give you tips for your next visit so you know what to do when you go there because you have insider information. So next up, we'll bring on John. Hey, John, how's it going?
Hey, Dave. Hey, guys. How's it going today?
Doing fantastic. Looking forward to hearing your review of Disneyland Paris. So first off, tell us about your trip. When was it? Was it your first time? Was it your second, third time? And how long did you stay? And then we'll go into the myths about Disneyland Paris and things that are not really true about the parks.
Sure. So this was I want to say this was a last minute trip for us. Probably decided to go within a month. Had never been over to Paris. Europe in general is actually our first time going over there. And, with that, definitely our first time going to Disneyland Paris. And it was nothing short of amazing going over there. I mean, Disney, as usual, they put on the show, they put on the lights. Didn't throw any eggs, actually. So maybe some Mickey ice cream bars at us, but it was amazing. And I mean, the concept that we loved about it is that we were there for maybe a grand total of 4 days total before we had to come back stateside. And so we were just like, let's go over to Disneyland for the day and see what's going on. It is definitely a park, 2 parks actually, that you can do within 2 days. So
excellent.
With that, excellent. We're just happy we were able to get a chance to go over there.
Fantastic. So this was your first time to Paris and to Disneyland Paris?
Yeah, all the above.
Excellent. Excellent. Now you mentioned, give us the layout. I know Disney World has 4 parks and 2 water parks. What is the layout there? What are the parks like? What are the names?
Sure. So when you arrive there, at least where we entered, first of all, there are resorts around the area. It's, very similar to what we have going on down here in Florida. But over there, we got an Uber from where we were staying, got over there, and we were brought to the entrance of where the downtown Disney district is. So as you're looking at the downtown Disney district, which they do have a Five Guys, actually, which is nice. Really surprising to see, but it was there. I didn't meet any of the Five Guys, though, so it was all right. But downtown Disney district was on the right side, so we're walking straight. The first thing you see, and I may have sent you a picture of this, but it's the Disneyland Paris Hotel. And this one actually is currently under renovation. No timetable yet for that one to reopen. But as you enter the park, you actually go through that hotel to get to Disneyland Paris. Now, before that, there is another park, which is really cool. It is Disney Studios. Name pending, if I can remember the whole name of it, but it was Walt Disney Studios, which is really cool. And so that's the first park you're going to see. And then from there, you just go straight on into Disneyland Paris. So all in all, I mean, very walkable, very easy to get through. The security is on the outside just before you go through the gate at Disneyland Paris. So really, really easy transition to get in.
Excellent. So basically 2 parks, the studios and a Disneyland type park. Very similar Magic Kingdom or Disneyland in California, and a downtown Disney district.
Yep.
Very similar design.
It's very, very easy to compare to. I wouldn't say anything around Disney World's the same, but I would say it's very close to Disneyland out in Anaheim.
Okay. Very similar to the original Disneyland. Awesome. Yep. Awesome. Now, obviously, when you go to Disneyland Paris, you hear a lot about myths. So we want to debunk some of the myths. That's what we talked about. So myth number 1, it's far from Paris.
Yeah. So that was one of our biggest worries. We were worried that we weren't going to be able to get up in time, get there from where we were. we decided to stay just outside of Paris, a little bit closer to the airport in Saint Denis. So it was a suburban area. I mean, you're not quite in the hustle and bustle of Paris exactly, but still close enough to where you can get there comfortably from Uber. Now, that being said, to get to Disneyland, I was like, it's going to take a train. We'll probably have to get an Uber from there. Not at all. From our hotel, we stayed at a courtyard, actually. And from there, it was about a 20-mile trip one way. And the traffic, I mean, we left probably around I would say right around 10 o'clock in the morning. So
Nice.
we weren't there for rope drop, but we got there within 30, 45 minutes. No traffic other than normal city traffic. And we were brought right to the entrance of the park. Getting an Uber and getting in there was very, very easy.
So easy to get to, not too far from Paris.
Nope.
Excellent. Myth number 2, it's unsafe to visit. Oh no, those riots are going on.
Sure. This is a big one, guys. So the biggest thing that we heard from friends and family alike or the biggest question we got was, do you feel safe going over there? Are there riots going on? We're worried about your safety. I can tell you, at least from my experience, now granted, there are riots going on for various reasons, but from every local person we talked to, all of them were happening in a peaceful way in the suburbs where everybody lives, basically. I think out of the whole experience, I saw one broken window in Paris, but at Disneyland, we didn't see anything. We got there, we felt safe immediately as soon as we got in there. Even walking around the downtown Disney district, wasn't a lot going on in terms of rioting. So it was a really nice experience. Overall, there was no point where we were feeling unsafe.
Perfect. Myth number 3, the cast members are all French. No English is spoken.
Yeah, this is a fun one. So my wife and I do not speak any French. We tried, but I will tell you, Google Translate was our best friend while we were over there. That being said, like everybody knows, going into a Disney park, there are going to be international cast members. And most of them, I would say, spoke English. There was a few that, they had thicker accents, but all in all, it was a seamless experience trying to just get something from a cast member saying hello. We would do our best to at least, my number one tip with this is that anytime you're going to a country where they don't speak English predominantly, at least learn the basics, saying hello in French, saying goodbye, saying thank you, merci. It really goes a long way. And then they'll probably convert because they recognize that you are not from France.
Excellent. Myth number 4, cast members there hate Americans.
It's not so much they hate Americans. I wouldn't even say that. If of course, it's very similar. Have good manners while you're over there. They don't hate Americans. By far, they don't. We are a great source of revenue for them. We keep them employed. We keep the theme parks active. And that's for anybody. It's not just Americans. Anybody coming in from there. The French people probably get a very bad rap, I would say. They definitely don't scowl at you. They don't, they're very polite when they see you. They're very happy for you to be there. Especially these, the post-COVID conditions. Everybody was just happy to be there. Everybody was happy that you were there and they were catering to you. So I would definitely say that myth is definitely debunked.
Perfect. We're here with John Medrow, a Disney destinations expert now, working on my travel, doing fantastic endeavors. Disneyland Paris review. People are coming on. Please leave a question in the chat. What are the myths you heard about Disneyland Paris, or what questions do you have about your next trip there? Or give us a comment about if you've traveled there. We're going through the myths, the popular myths you hear about scaring you away from visiting Disneyland Paris, and we're almost through John's very short list. Myth number 5, the rides there in the theme park are only for small people.
Sure. So I get this one a lot. Everybody thinks Americans, we eat a lot of fast food. We are unfortunately a lot, heavier than some people. That's definitely a myth. When you're over there, there wasn't one concern. And I've got to say, I'm not a little guy here. When I'm getting on rides, I'm a little worried. I'm like, oh no, am I going to fit? Is it going to click? Are they going to kick me off the ride? And overall, is it going to be an embarrassing experience? I would say that's the biggest fear when you're a little bit bigger, when you're trying to get on these rides. No worries at all. There wasn't one single ride I was worried about. As soon as I sat down, I was like, oh, it clicks. This is great. So didn't have to worry about it.
No worries. Excellent. Myth number 6, the food and drinks are expensive in Disneyland Paris.
Here we go. everybody's favorite thing when you're trying to buy a Bud Light over at one of the Disney parks and you're being charged $12.50 for something like that. You listen, over at Disneyland, no matter what Disney park you're going to go to, yes, the prices, are going to be a little bit inflated compared to where you are anywhere else. That being said, we found, as long as you don't overspend, as long as you don't go over your budget, you'll be absolutely fine. And they do have things that meet everybody's budget. It's definitely not just a park for the rich people. It's definitely very well affordable. My favorite part, though, I would say, was that the time we went, and of course, I didn't actually tell you when we went. So we went just a couple weeks ago. It was the July 7th through July 11th or 12th. I want to say one of those days we came back. And with that, it was their version of their International Food and Wine Festival that was going on over at Walt Disney Studios. And we walked up to one of the booths. We really wanted to have some French champagne while over there, possibly on Main Street if we can get away with it and buy some there. We didn't get any at Disneyland Paris. However, we walked over to Walt Disney World Studios. Like I said, they're having their version of Food and Wine Festival. We walked up to the counter expecting to pay probably upwards of $20, $25 for a glass of champagne. It was no more than $11, honestly. And the best part is, once you were done, you brought your glass back to wherever you bought it, and they give you €1 back.
Nice.
So
I like it. Redemption program.
Yep.
Excellent. All right. And our last myth to debunk is myth number 7. The park is unclean. Absolutely.
So this one I hear probably more often than anything, no matter what Disney park you go to. The streets of, I would say, Main Street, there was a lot of people just like they were at Walt Disney World, in Magic Kingdom, over at Disneyland. However, there were, cast members lining, just waiting to, make sure the park stayed clean, that there wasn't trash on the ground. I could barely notice if there was maybe like a popcorn bucket here and there, but other than that, definitely a very clean park for both parks.
Excellent. Of course, that's a Disney trademark, is cleanliness and a trash can in every corner. John, thank you for debunking the myths. Thank you guys for joining us. We went through our myths. Next, John wants to talk about comparing the rides and the restaurants in the different parks. So we talked yesterday. You gave me a few tips. I was like, whoa, save that for the show. So just give a few examples of maybe similar rides in Paris versus Disney World or Disneyland, and how they compare between the two parks.
Perfect. I've got some Thunder Mountain fans out there, right? I hope I do. Because it was one of my first roller coasters when I was a little kid. It still is one of my favorite roller coasters, and family friendly for everybody. It's wonderful. Here's the kicker. So you're going over there, and similar to ours, yes, it's a mine train. You go through the 3 sequences where you go up the hill, back down the hill. However, the biggest difference, I would say, over there, their version of Thunder Mountain is, picture Tom Sawyer's Island sitting over there in our Magic Kingdom or Disneyland. That's where their Thunder Mountain is. And it's cool because you get on the ride from the other side of the river, and it's not like our usual, you just go down and then you go right back up and then you start going up the hill. No. You go down and you keep going down and accelerate down. So it is a very, very awesome thrill ride. And then you start going back up in the sequence. Best part is you got to come back and do it all over again because you got to get back to the other side of the island. So nice. I would say it's a little bit more thrilling and definitely worth the wait if there is one. And then one of my, I guess, other favorites, the 3 big ones I'm going to talk about today, by the way, are going to be Thunder Mountain, Haunted Mansion, and Tower of Terror. So moving on to Haunted Mansion. Without giving away too much, I could definitely say the main characters are there, but the storyline is completely different, and the ending will, if not amaze you, it'll make you want to come back and ride it about 6 more times. Very, very similar way of getting on. You're queuing through the gardens, and then you end up inside the house through the front door, which is very cool. So I'll leave everyone on this to either watch on YouTube or go experience it for yourself because it is well worth it. And then finally, Tower of Terror. This had to be one of my favorite rides, I would say, while I was over there. We all get, the original storyline, you are about to discover what lies beyond the 5th dimension. And in this point, I'm like, okay, it's very similar. You're walking in, and for those of you who've ridden Tower of Terror, what is now I believe it's Mission Breakout. Forgive me, I'm wrong. But Mission Breakout over at Disneyland, you know that you're walking through and you go through the haunted boiler room. So very similar to that. The one key kicker in this one is that the little girl who's featured in the video is the main character, and she is terrifying. So if you have little ones that get scared pretty easily, you may want to skip this one. However, I enjoyed myself thoroughly. And then with all these rides, guys, my favorite part is that I didn't really have to worry about a language barrier because half the ride they would switch back and forth between French and English.
Oh, helpful.
Yep. So,
excellent.
Absolutely. And then restaurant wise, this is a funny one. For those of you who've been to Disney's Hollywood Studios and know very well the Brown Derby, how it is a full service sit down restaurant, it's a dining experience of everything. When you go over to Walt Disney World Studios, the first thing you do is walk through I believe it's Studio One. You go straight through. First thing on your right you see is going to be the Brown Derby. Biggest difference is that it is quick service.
That's a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Food is definitely different. It looks great. I unfortunately we didn't stop in, saw the menu, and we're like, we're just going to keep walking. We're going to see what else is there. And then probably our favorite dining experience was Chez Remy, which is over by, of course, the Ratatouille ride.
So, the Ratatouille ride, of course.
Through the streets of Paris there. Really cool. But then you're walking up and you see Chez Remy. Dave, I don't know if I sent you a picture of this one, but when you walk in that restaurant, it looks like a normal restaurant, but as soon as you go to sit down, you are shrunk down to the size of Remy and all of his friends. It is awesome. You're sitting on a bottle cap. You're eating in between two large plates. You're underneath some vines, some ivy, which is awesome. And then the food is world class. I had a steak of some sort, and they asked me how I want it cooked. They prepared it exactly how I wanted it, and the food was amazing. And, it didn't break the budget, which was great.
Good restaurant review. And that's Chez Remy. Now, did you ride the Remy's Ratatouille ride?
We did. This one is, I don't want to disappoint, obviously, but it is the exact same thing as it is over here. So
it did start there, and then it's the most popular ride, I think, in that park, Disneyland Paris. So they mirrored it in Epcot, just like with Tron. Tron's the most popular ride in Shanghai Disney. Yep. If you guys didn't know that out there, I know you diehards probably know these things. It's good to see it's consistent because it's a great ride. But that's an awesome restaurant. I definitely have to check that out when I go.
Absolutely. I do want to switch back to one more ride I got. For those of you interested that love, you come to Disney's Hollywood Studios, you go over to Rock and Roller Coaster and all of its fun things. They have a ride that's very similar, if not exact same over there. However, it's Marvel themed, and you are riding along with Captain Marvel trying to save the Earth from, someone who's trying to blow it up, obviously. So really great experience. The launch sequence has been updated there. And, I knew it from Rock and Roller Coaster, but it feels a lot smoother when you're riding it over there. So very cool. And this is found at Walt Disney Studios. I'm sorry.
Excellent.
The last and final ride I want to talk about is going to be the Crush Coaster. This thing is awesome. You are sitting inside of a turtle shell. Slight disclaimer with this one. So if you want to ride forwards or backwards, you do have to specify ahead of time, because if you are sitting backwards, you're going to stay backwards for a little bit until you get into the coaster part of it. So,
okay.
Yep. And that was the one ride where I was like, ooh, am I going to fit on this one? Because when the lap bar comes down, it goes all the way down. Didn't have a problem there.
Excellent. So thank you for the comparison. So of all these things you talked about, what was if someone say you have to pick your one ride you do again, what's your favorite ride?
Obviously Tower of Terror. I'm a huge Tower of Terror fan, and this one just blew it out of the water. It knocked it out of the park. It was awesome.
Excellent. So we want to end our show with John's tips for you guys, because we are a diehard show, giving you guys the guidance of how to master theme parks like a pro. So what are your tips if people want to travel the next 6 months to Paris and go to Disneyland Paris? What are the key, 5 things that they should focus on?
So the key 5 things I would say, number one, definitely take your time budgeting ahead of time. Like I mentioned before, it'll fit all budgets, but just make sure it works for you. Number 2, like any good Disney park, make sure you are wearing comfortable sneakers, tennis shoes, whatever you got to do. It is not a park that you definitely want to skip out on. One other small myth that we hear are these parks are smaller. I would still say they're, theme park worthy for all of us over here. They are sizable, and you will be doing a lot of walking. Let's see. Number 3, be prepared for some of the rides to go down and stay down a little bit longer than usual over here. They will allow you to come back in line if you have their version of Max Pass. They will honor your time as you go back in. Speaking of Max Pass, my tip number 4 is you don't have to buy the unlimited pass. If you're looking just to ride a few rides, but maybe skip the lines and go in their version of Fast Pass, you are able to buy the rides straight through the app. I think the Indiana Jones coaster, which another fun one, Indiana Jones coaster maybe cost us, I think it was like €6. So it wasn't terrible, and we did get to skip the line. So unlike, like Guardians over here, they can get up to $20, $30. The top thrill rides over there, maybe max $15, which was nice. So tip number 4, take advantage of the food that's over there. The food is amazing. The food, the drinks, everything encompasses the parks, encompasses what Walt Disney would want in his parks. And then just have fun, be a kid, for a day when you go. You can stay extended days, but we were there for a day and we got on most everything that we wanted to do. So
perfect.
And I'll leave you with this. My review of their version of Space Mountain was a very cool one as well. So if we're talking both parks, Space Mountain was probably my favorite over there. Simply put, it was a coaster that goes upside down. I will say that. The launch up the hill is really cool. Right now, they also have Hyperspace Mountain going on. So if you haven't experienced it yet, it's all the same thrills that you get with Space Mountain. Now add in Star Wars.
Perfect. Excellent review, John. Appreciate the tips at the end, giving you guidance what to do, what to go. And you even debunked another myth. So great job. Well, thank you guys for joining us today. This was our Disneyland Paris review with John Medrow, a Disney destinations expert for my travel agency. John's going to be your Orlando contact for a lot of things going up there with all the big groups and clubs up in Orlando. Mm-hmm. And he has a whole set of clientele he's going to be helping out plan. We can help you travel worldwide to any Disney park or whatever vacation you want to do. And today we covered debunking the myths. We compared the parks and the rides and the restaurants. And he had tips for his next visit. If you're just jumping on now, please go back and watch it on recording. Excellent, John. Appreciate you having you on. We'll have you back on soon. You guys have a good night.
Thanks, guys.